Hi guys, and welcome to Simply Made by Erin, my crochet channel. Today we're making this adorable Sherpa bunny. This bunny is meant to be a decorative bunny. It has a weighted bottom and it sits nice and flat on a shelf or a decorative tray. Anywhere you want to put it for Easter. It has a cute little furry tail and some flowers, little eyes, and embroidered nose. So the Sherpa yarn that you need is called Go For Fleece Sherpa by Lion Brand yarn. This is a size 7 jumbo yarn and it's 100% polyester. So for the bunny, I used the color cream. And then for the little flower detail, you just need some kind of worsted weight yarn. I happen to have a bunch of the Made with Love, the cottony one, in stock already, so I use that. It's a medium worsted weight and it's a cotton and acrylic blend. And I just found a bunch of different colors. I used it for embroidering the nose as well. And you will need an 8mm crochet hook for the body of the bunny. For the flowers and the leaves, you'll need a 5mm crochet hook and then a tapestry needle to weave your ends in. This is called a drawstring threader. It has a bigger end for those chunkier yarns and then the tip is blunt. So it makes it really easy to weave in without getting caught on the fibers of your yarn. And then of course a pair of scissors and a flexible measuring tape to check your gauge, just to make sure you're on track for about the same size bunny that I'm making. And then it's worked in a continuous round, so you'll want a stitch marker and then some safety eyes. I have 9mm. You can embroider the eyes on if you prefer. And then, like I mentioned before, it does have a weighted bottom, so it sits nice and flat without tipping over. So what I use to create my weights is a nylon stocking. I got the crew length size. You can find these for really inexpensive on Amazon in a large pack. So those are really affordable. And then I fill mine with Poly-pellets. They're these little plastic pellets that weight down your projects. They're specifically made for this. Polyfil is the company that makes these. And you'll also need a little bit of polyfil or stuffing to finish stuffing the bunny around that weighted bag. And I sew the ears and the tail on. I usually glue the flowers on, but you can also sew the flowers on. So if you want to glue the flowers on, it's helpful to have a hot glue gun. I'm going to get all set up and we're going to start on the bunny first and then we'll move on to the flowers. Okay, so we are going to start on the body of the bunny. And the Sherpa yarn can be pretty difficult to work with because you can't really see your stitches. So I'm going to go kind of slow and then I'm going to pull out some other yarn that's easier to see to show you some stitches throughout. So you just need a tail long enough to weave in your end, and we're going to create a slip knot. And we are not starting with a magic circle because it's too hard to close the circle with the Sherpa yarn because it breaks easily when you pull it tight. So you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, we're going to work 8 half double crochet in the third chain from the hook. So with the Sherpa yarn, you can see it's really hard to see your stitches. You have to kind of feel for your stitches. So I can feel there's 1, 2, and then 3. So my third chain from hook is down here. That's the very last chain from the hook, and it's the first chain you created. So you need to find that last chain, 1, 2, and 3, and then work 8 half double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook in that last chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 3 loops on the hook. And then you want to take your stitch marker and mark that first half double crochet. Okay, and then we're going to do 8 more in that same third chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 7, and 8. Okay, you can kind of pull the tail very gently because that first chain kind of opens up as you work. So just pull very gently. You can go ahead and weave that tail in whenever you want. So you'll have a circle forming like this. I'm going to show you the beginning with a yarn that's a little bit easier to see. This is Lazy Days Thick and Quick. Sorry, Lion Brand Cover Stories Lazy Days Thick and Quick. It's a tube yarn. Okay, so we're going to create that slip knot. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Find that third chain from the hook. Here's 1, 2, 3. And then just half double crochet 8 times in that third chain from the hook, marking that first half double crochet with your stitch marker. So there's 1, 2, 3, 7. The chain kind of opens up as you go, so you have to kind of hold on to the tail and then just pull it tight at the end. And there's 8. And then you can just pull tight gently and it closes that circle. Okay. So for round 2, we are just going to do an increase. We're still working on the base, and it's just a basic increase where we do 2 half double crochet in each stitch around. So yarn over, insert your hook into that marked stitch, yarn over and pull through 3 loops and do that twice. Actually, let me remove this and mark that first stitch. It's always a good idea to mark that first stitch right after you do it so that you can still see it. Okay, and then in that same stitch, another half double crochet. Okay, and then just kind of feel for the stitches. We want 2 half double crochet in each stitch around. You'll have a total of 16 stitches after the end of this round. Okay, another one in that same stitch. Okay, and then I can fill my next one. The Sherpa yarn, it's hard to see, but it is easy to fill the stitches because it has this kind of hard piece right there in the middle. You can feel that. Also with the Sherpa, it hides your mistakes. So if for some reason you add or subtract too many stitches in one stitch, as long as you space them out pretty evenly, you're not gonna notice. You just need to make sure that you get enough stitches in each round. Okay, let me show you on this one. So yarn over, insert your hook in that marked stitch. So let's try that again. I can see the stitches, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove this first because it just makes it easier. Okay, and then mark that stitch. Okay, and then just 2 in each stitch around, 2 half double crochet for a total of 16. Okay, I'm going to finish the 16 and meet you for round 3. So round 2 is complete. This is what we are looking like. I went ahead and weaved the end in just to get it out of the way. And then we're doing one more increase round, and it's just another basic increase. Half double crochet in the first stitch, 2 half double crochet in the second stitch, half double crochet in the next, 2 half double crochet in the next, and you repeat that sequence around for 24 stitches. So that's the first half double crochet. Okay, so 1 half double crochet in that first stitch, 2 in the second stitch. And again, if you're having trouble seeing the stitches, just get this spaced out as evenly as possible. Okay, so round 3 is finished. This is what it should look like. It should measure about 4 1/4 to 4 1/2 inches across. And then you'll know you're on track. If it's a lot larger, you need to tighten your stitches up. You don't want the filling and stuff poking through, and you want it to sit nice and straight. Okay, so that was the base. Now we're working on the sides, and we're going to do rounds 4 through 8, and it's just single crochet all the way around. So find that first mark stitch, and then single crochet, mark that stitch. Okay, so a single crochet, it's just insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, and you just keep single crocheting all the way around for a total of 24 stitches, and you repeat that for rounds 4 through 8. Okay, so I finished round 8. Now we are working on decreasing. This is what the piece should look like. So we are going to work 4 single crochet in the next stitch, and then an invisible single crochet decrease in the next. So find that marked stitch and work a single crochet, and then single crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. So a total of 4 stitches. And then we're going to do an invisible single crochet decrease. So I'm going to show you with the other yarn. So you want to find the front loop of the next stitch. So this would be the next stitch, the next single crochet. This is both loops. That one is the back loop, and this one is the front loop. So we're working the front loop. So you insert your hook in the front loop of the next stitch, then you find the next stitch and work your hook in the front loop of that stitch as well. So you kind of twist your hook, insert in the front loop. Okay, you'll have 3 loops on the hook. You yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. And that is an invisible single crochet decrease. Okay, so I'm going to show you one more time with this yarn. So under the front loop of the next stitch, and then insert your hook under the front loop of the next stitch, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through 2. Do one more. So under the front loop of the next stitch, and then the front loop of the next stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay. So we repeat that all the way around. For round 9, you'll have a total of 20 single crochet. So it's 4 single crochet, and then find that front loop. Find that front loop of the next stitch. You can fill the front loops pretty well on this Sherpa yarn. I forgot to yarn over. Okay, so find that front loop. And again, find that front loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then just repeat that around. So if you want, you could just do a regular single crochet decrease if you're using the Sherpa because it won't show, but I always like to include that invisible decrease method just because if you're using a different yarn, it looks a lot neater. Okay, so round 9 is complete and we're gonna insert that weighted bag now. So I filled my stocking up with the weighted pellets. I would say I use probably about a half a cup. And then I just tie a double knot. You want to make sure this doesn't open or come out. And then I'm going to cut my stocking about there. And then I kind of just like wrap it over like this and secure it. You can tie some more knots and secure it a little better if you want to. Mine is just going to sit on my shelf, so it'll be nice and neat. If you need to secure yours a little bit better, go ahead. So the bag should fit at the bottom and cover most of the space around the bottom. Make sure, you know, it's kind of heavy enough and it's sitting flat. Add more, take some out if you need to. And then you can kind of fill the rest around it with Polyfil. Okay, that's good enough for now. And then we're gonna continue working those last few rounds. So round 10 we're on. So round 10 is single crochet in the next 3 stitches, then the invisible single crochet decrease, and repeat that around. So 3 single crochet, invisible single crochet decrease, repeat that around for a total of 16 single crochet. So there's the first single crochet. And then 1 more, sorry, 2 more. So that's 3, and then the invisible single crochet decrease that we learned in that last round. Okay, and repeat that around. You'll have a total of 16 single crochet. Okay, and then round 11, our last round, another decrease. So it's single crochet in the next 2. So there's 1. There's 2, and then the invisible single crochet decrease in the next stitch. So repeat that around. You'll have a total of 12 single crochet. So 2 single crochet and invisible single crochet decrease for a total of 12 single crochet. Okay, so that last round is finished. You can go ahead and fasten off. Leave a long tail long enough to cinch the top closed. So a good 12 inches or so. Okay, pull your tail through. Now, the marked stitch is going to be the back. So before we close that up, we're going to add our safety eyes. So you can put a little bit more stuffing if you want. I'm not going to fill it too tight before I add my eyes. So I kind of eyeball it. I go probably, I think in my directions I said 1.5 inches below the opening. So let's go a little bit lower. And then I space mine about 1.5 inches apart. sorry, 1¼ inches apart. So kind of eyeball it. That looks about good. Okay. And then you want to go ahead and attach those. When you're attaching them, make sure you don't go through a really large gap, because I've done that before and it just falls right out. So you need to kind of secure them kind of through the yarn if you can. So go ahead and get those in place and then add the little piece on the back. I'm gonna go ahead and do that off camera because it takes me a minute. I don't have the little machine. So I'll be right back. Okay, my eyes are on. Make sure they're nice and secure and not popping out of the holes. And then you can add a little more stuffing if you need to, which I think I do. And then you can remove that stitch marker. And then we're just going to take our tapestry needle and weave around that top. So I go, actually, let me show you with the other yarn first. So pull your tail out. And then the way I weave it closed is I go through the front loop of each stitch. Just like that. And then just kind of pull as you go to cinch closed. And it creates a nice top opening. Again, do your best to find that front loop only, but again, with the Sherpa yarn, it doesn't really show. So just kind of do your best. Okay, and then before you pull it closed, if you need to add a little bit of filling, you can go ahead and do that. But just gently pull and then weave your end in. Nice and secure. Okay, I'm gonna finish that in a minute off camera. This is what it should be looking like. It's kind of an egg shape. Make sure the base is sitting nice and flat and secure on the counter. If your eyes aren't really peeking through enough, you can trim a little bit around the eyes. And then I'm gonna get set up and we're gonna work on the ears next. Okay, so we're still using the L hook and the Sherpa yarn, and we need to make 2 ears. So you want a long tail about 12 inches. And create a slip knot. In chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so you're gonna find that second chain from the hook and you're going to single crochet in that second chain from the hook. Okay, and then you're going to half double crochet in the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to show you with the other yarn in a minute so you can get a better look. Okay, and then the last chain, you're going to work a single crochet and a slip stitch. right here. Okay. Oops. So a single crochet and then a slip stitch. Okay, and now we're going to work along the back side of the chain. So I'm going to show you that with the other yarn so you can see it a little bit better. So chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so find that second chain from the hook and single crochet. Okay, and then half double crochet in the next 4 chains. 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can see I'm only working under 1 loop. This would be the front loop, this is the back loop, and then if you turn it, that little bump is the back hump. The Sherpa yarn you're not going to be able to see, so just get it under whatever loop you can find. Okay, and then that last chain, a single crochet, and then a slip stitch. Okay, so that's one side of the ear. Now we're going to work along the back side of those chains from the foundation chain. Okay, so I don't work in that last chain again where I did the single crochet and slip stitch. I don't work in the back side of that chain. Just go ahead and skip that. You'll have your little knot right there. You can kind of pull that tight. So find the next chain. And let me double check my instructions. You're gonna half double crochet in the next 4 chains. So you'll have these 2 loops that remain. Just half double crochet in the next 4. Okay, and then you'll have 1 chain left. It's the same chain that you did your first single crochet in, and you're going to single crochet in that last chain. Okay, and you can fasten off on that last single crochet of the ear. I forgot to mention that I go ahead and slip stitch to that beginning single crochet first, and then pull through and just weave the end in. So that's kind of what the ear looks like. And this is what it looks like with the fur yarn. So you want to make sure that these are flexible, but they should not be floppy. You can see it stays in place unless you actually bend it. If these are floppy and moving around, you need to tighten your stitches up. Okay, so then we just sew it to the top of the bunny's head. I find that center opening about right here, and I just kind of place them where I want them. Just like that, and then we're gonna sew it on. So I'm gonna show you quickly how to sew one on. So let me get it in place first. So when I sew that first piece down, I put my yarn back under the loop to kind of create like a little knot to tighten it in place first. And then I just go all the way around. I do kind of like a whip stitch. So make sure, I'm sure it's hard to tell, but make sure you go under a loop on the bunny head and then a loop on the ear. This Sherpa yarn, again, is really forgiving. So when it comes to sewing the ear on and the tail, it doesn't have to be perfect. So again, I go all the way around the back side. Okay, and then I go around the front side also, just to get it nice and secure. And just kind of whip stitch around before you finish. Just kind of make sure it's in place and it's standing up nicely. So I'm going to finish that off camera. I'm going to put the second ear on, same type of placement with the second ear, just like that. And then we'll work on the tail. Okay, so ears are on. It's already looking super cute. Okay, so the tail is super easy. Just leave a tail long enough to weave your beginning tail in. Create a slip knot. And then chain 3. It's just like the start of the body. 1, 2, 3. We're going to work 6 half double crochet in the third chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, feel around for that third chain, create 6 half double crochet. 1, 2, I forgot to mark that stitch. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, tighten that to close, and then 2 half double crochet in each stitch around. So find that marked stitch. This is almost identical to the beginning of the bunny, just less stitches. Okay, now 2 half double crochet in each stitch around, and you'll have a total of 12 half double crochet. Okay, there's 12, and now invisible single crochet decrease all the way around that last round. You'll have a total of 6 stitches. So again, you find the front loop of that first stitch, front loop of that second stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Do that for a total of 6 times. So find that first loop or the next. Okay, this is what the tail looks like after that last round of invisible decreases, single crochet decreases. I went ahead and weaved that beginning tail in. You can cut the tail off, or you can stick the extra bit down to make it a little fluffier. Okay, and then we're just going to leave a long tail to weave that closed. And just like the top of the bunny head, we're going to cinch the top closed, working in the front loops only, if you can find them. But basically just do your best to cinch the top closed. I forgot to mention, if you have a little bit of the Lion Brand Go for Fur yarn, I believe is what it's called, Go for Faux. It's fur yarn. You can use that as the tail as well. I went ahead and used the same color just because another skein of a different color yarn in this just for the tail is kind of a lot. So let me zoom out. Okay, and then we're just going to sew the tail on. So just like the ears, Just do a whip stitch all the way around. Once you have it nice and secure, weave your tail in really good, your end in really good, and the body of the bunny is done. I will meet you back here in a minute and we'll work on the flowers. Okay, so the tail is on. This is what it looks like. Should be sitting nice and flat. And before we start the flowers, we're gonna sew or embroider the little nose on. So you just go centered between the eyes and a little bit down and just embroider a basic T shape. So you just need a few yards of the worsted weight yarn. I use this pinky purple color. It's called Primrose Hill, and it's the Made with Love, the cottony one. So you just do a basic T shape. So enter your needle right under the eye, about like that. Pull this through, leaving a tail long enough to secure it at the end. And then you just create 3 to 4 loops across horizontally like this. You just go kind of back into those same holes on each side. Okay. Don't pull too tight. I could have probably gone up a little bit higher. Okay, so I'm gonna do like 1 to 2 more loops just like that. Okay, so I repositioned it off camera to go a little bit higher. And I think I'm on my 4th loop here. So on the last loop, instead of going back over to the same hole, go kind of centered and under these loops. And then we're going to start forming that T. I went way too far. And you do exactly the same thing, but down. You can make the vertical bar a little bit shorter if you want, or whatever you want to do. And again, go down a few times. Okay, so I finished that up. This is the gist of it. I trimmed around the eyes and the nose just because this one was really furry, but once you're done forming the T, I think I did about 3 loops here and 4 on top, then you just want to secure the ends really nice and tight and weave them inside the bunny and cut them off. Okay, so now we are going to work on the little rose. So this is really easy with your 5mm crochet hook and worsted weight yarn. You're going to leave a long tail about 12 inches. Create a slip knot. And we are going to chain 10. 1. Let me start that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, once you have 10 chains, you are going to work in the second chain from the hook, 1 and 2, and you're going to create a single crochet and a double crochet in each chain across. Super easy. You can adjust the size of the flowers by creating as many or as little chains as you want. Okay, so repeat that all the way across, ending with a slip stitch in the last chain. Okay, so I have that last chain. I'm going to slip stitch. Okay, and then fasten off, again, leaving a long tail about 12 inches. Pull that tail all the way through. Okay, and this is what it looks like. Okay, so we're just gonna roll it up. So take the end without the tail and just roll it up. Just like that. I do mine kind of tight. Okay, and then you take one of the tails. I like to usually use this outside tail and put it on your needle. Okay, and then we're just gonna weave in and out along the back of the flower to secure that little rosebud in place. So you just kind of go through all the layers all the way around until you get it nice and secure. Okay. Once you have that in place and your flower's not coming undone, make sure you get the center good. You can go ahead and finish weaving that tail in and then cut it off. And then you can use the beginning tail to either sew it on top of the bunny head, or you can weave this tail in also and just hot glue it on. I usually like to hot glue it on. So I just finished weaving the tails in till I get my flower nice and secure, and then hot glue it in place. We'll do a leaf first before you glue that flower in place. So I'm gonna get my leaf yarn set up and we'll work on the leaf next. Okay, so I have my green yarn for my leaf. The same hook size we used for the flowers, the 5mm, and we are going to leave a long tail and then chain 5. So create a slip knot and then chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, we're gonna find the second chain from the hook right here. Turn that chain and find the back hump. It's this little bump right here, and we're going to work a single crochet under the back hump. And then in the back hump of the next stitch, a half double crochet, and then in the back hump of the next stitch, a half double crochet. Okay, you'll have 1 chain remaining, and we're going to work 4 double crochet in that last chain. 1. So at half double crochet, you yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Okay, and then repeat that for a total of 4, so 2 more times. Okay, so this is one side of your leaf forming. Okay, you can kind of pull that tail tight if it started opening. Okay, and then we're gonna work along the back side of the chains. Okay, so in the next chain, the next 2 chains, we are going to work a half double crochet. So we have one right here that's kind of hidden. Do not work in that last chain again, the back side of the 4 double crochet. Because the 4 double crochet kind of create that circle around it and we don't need to work there again. And then half double crochet in the next chain. There'll be 2 loops left on the back side of your foundation chain. And that's where you want to work. And then in that last chain, just single crochet. Okay, and then we're gonna join with the invisible join method. So go ahead and cut it, leave a tail just long enough to weave in your end. Okay, so for the invisible join, you take your tail and your needle and you find the first stitch of the round. You go through both loops of the first stitch. Okay, and then you find the back loop of your last stitch. This is the front, this is the back, and then you go from front to back under that back loop. And then you just finish weaving your end in and it creates that nice invisible join. So go ahead and weave this tail in all the way. And that's what your little leaf will look like. So the beginning tail you can either use to sew on to your bunny, or you can weave that tail in as well and just hot glue it on. So I usually weave the tails in and then I just hot glue it in place. So once those tails are weaved in, you just kind of place it where you like. Let me go out a little bit. Just kind of place it where you like. Put a flower on top, hot glue, or sew it onto the bunny, and you are all finished. I like to do 2 leaves and 3 roses and kind of cluster them here and hot glue them in place. So that is it. Your bunny is all finished. It's ready to go for Easter. Just put it on a cute shelf or tray and you're all set. Again, like always, the full written pattern is linked in the caption below. It's free on my blog. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Have a good day.